Students, in the previous video lecture, we have already discussed about Newton laws, Newton first, second laws, and continuation of that is impulse. We already know when an object is in motion, it possesses inertia of motion. If the object is in rest, it possesses inertia of rest. In order to change inertia, we will be disturbing the body. There will be some force acting on the particle. Now, whenever there is change in the motion, it means that there is some change in velocity. Corresponding to that change in velocity, there will be momentum change. As momentum is undergoing change, we can define a new physical quantity, impulse. So what is mean by impulse? Let us see in this animation. You are in the animation which is displayed on the screen. Clearly you can see that a ball is falling down from certain height and it is rebounding back. The ball is rebounding, it is bouncing back to the same height. If at all frictional force is negligible, if there is no loss of momentum, then definitely from what height it is been allowed to fall, to the same height it bounces back if it is purely elastic collision. But practically there will be some energy lost, there will be some momentum transferred to the horizontal plane upon which ball is incidented. So in this case, what actually happens is you are allowing a ball to fall down, and when you allow ball to fall down from certain height, say this is height from which ball is falling down, this is height h, and it is exactly falling at the center of this horizontal plane. And when the ball is incidented at this point, like when the ball comes here, initially its velocity is equal to 0. Its velocity is 0, but when it is coming down, when it is approaching this plane, finally its velocity is not equal to 0, and the final velocity before it hits the plane can be written as v is equal to under root 2gh. This is before hitting, and I name this as initial velocity. So before it hits the plane, it is falling from certain height. So when it is falling down, definitely it gains some velocity. That velocity v is not equal to 0, and its value is under root 2gh. Based on this h, you will be gaining, that ball will be gaining some certain velocity. Okay. Now when this ball hit the plane, what actually happens is this plane would give a jerk. This plane would change its like this plane, it would come to motion, like it will be disturbed because of momentum transferred by the ball to this plane, and after hitting, the ball bounces back to certain height. Like this is the height where the ball has been bounced back. I name it as h dash. Now finally, after bouncing back, this final velocity becomes 0, but when it is initially hitting and bouncing back, it should possess some velocity. That velocity I consider it as vf, which is equal to under root 2g h dash. This is after hitting. Now what is your observation? The velocity with which the ball is hitting the plane is not equal to the velocity with which after hitting it bounces back. So there is some change in velocity. Okay, so there is some loss in momentum, there is some loss in momentum. P for ball is losing some momentum. This is P final minus P initial. So final momentum change in the ball, delta P ball is equal to, final momentum is under root 2g h dash, and this is minus because ball is going upward now. As it is going upward direction, you need to take it as negative. Downward direction, I am taking it as positive. So delta P minus initial velocity, it is under root 2gh. So this is equal to minus of under root 2g. I can take it common. It is root h dash plus root h. This is change in the momentum for ball. It is taking some time to change this momentum, is it not? Therefore, there is some force exerting upon the plane. This horizontal plane is exerted by some force by the ball. Ball is transferring some of its momentum to this plane. So therefore, delta P for plane, change in the plane will be, as it is ball is transferring the momentum, how much momentum it lost, that much momentum will be gained by the plane. So therefore, it is plus root 2g into h dash plus h. This is delta P for plane. Now clearly you can understand, when there is a sudden fall or when there is the sudden change in the momentum, it means that, see, previously the horizontal plane is in rest position, but now as the ball is disturbing the horizontal plane, there is some sudden force acting on the plane. That sudden force acting on the plane will be for very short interval of time. So there is very small amount of time where the ball is in contact with the plane, very small time. But the force exerted by the ball on the plane is very large. Therefore, such large forces are sudden force acting on the plane for short interval of time is called impulse. And impulse is denoted with J. I can write impulse J is equal to force into time taken, F into T, and unit of impulse is Newton second in SI system and dyne second in CGS system. And as you know, F is equal to mv, or F can be written as delta P divided by delta T into delta T. As usual, delta T gets cancelled. This is equal to delta P. It is final momentum minus initial momentum. So momentum change is mathematically, or momentum change is numerically equal to impulse acting on the horizontal plane. So it is that when the ball is falling on the horizontal plane, there is the sudden change obtained for this plane. This plane will be giving a jerk because ball is suddenly acting some force on the plane, and that force is impacted for a very short interval of time. So such large magnitude of forces acting for sudden interval of time or certain interval of time, which is very short, is said to be as impulse. Impulse is product of force and time taken. Now let us plot graph for force and time taken in this particular example. See, here we are taking force on y-axis, time on x-axis. Now as when the ball is falling down, there is no force applied upon the horizontal plane. But when it is suddenly coming to this horizontal plane, by the, like when it is reaching the plane, suddenly it is exerting a force on this and immediately it gets bounced back. Therefore, the force which is acting on the plane is of large magnitude, but in very short time and that short time is, see, on the x-axis we have denoted it as 0.002, 0.004, 0.006, 0.008. It is very short intervals. In such a short intervals, the magnitude of force is very large. Check it up: 20 Newton, 40 Newton, 60 Newton, 80, 100, 120, 140, 160, 180. Such greater magnitude of force is acting in very short interval of time. Therefore, if you plot graph for this, that graph would be, check it up. That graph which is obtained here is within very short interval of time, like within the time of 0.008 second, which is very, very short. In that time itself, the magnitude of force is suddenly increased to how much value? Nearly 170 Newton. Within very short time of 0.008 second, the magnitude of force has been increased to very large value. It is 170 Newton. And then it is decreased because the ball is rebounding back. So if you plot graph for force and time, you will be getting such curves in case of impulse, which represent that a large magnitude of force or a sudden force acting upon a body within short interval of time is represented with impulse. And impulse J can also be written as F into T, or even it can be written as delta P, which is change in momentum. So whenever there is change in momentum produced, it means that there is an impulsive force acting on the particle. If we plot graph for force applied with respect to time, you will be getting these two graphs. And this is for instantaneous force. Excuse me. This is impulsive force, and whereas this one, it is for average force. Here we are calculating average force. Average force, F average is equal to F1 plus F2 divided by 2. And this is impulsive force, and it is instantaneous. So for instantaneous force with respect to time, you will be getting this graph. For the same impulse, if you take average force, you will be getting this graph. In both the cases, area of the graph is remained same. Area here and area here, both the cases, area will be remained same. So whenever you want to calculate impulse, you can find out the area of force time graph. So if you calculate force time graph, that gives you impulse acting upon that object. So impulse can also be written like this. P is equal to integration F dot dt, and it is integration F dot dt where F is variable. Remember that if this is variable with respect to time, then you need to go for integration, and you can calculate impulse in between initial time and final time. Find the force. Find the impulse due to the force F is equal to A I cap plus B T J cap. Remember, this is variable force. How can you tell that it is variable force? You are able to tell it is variable force because there is time involved. Okay. If T is equal to 0, what will be F? F is equal to A I cap. If T is equal to 1 second, then F is equal to A I cap plus B J cap. Similarly, if T is equal to 2 seconds, F will be equal to A I cap plus 2B J cap. Clearly, it is observable from the equation. Force is variable with respect to time. As time increases, force is increasing. Because time is included only along y direction. It is only in term J cap. So force magnitude will be increased along y direction because in the equation T is involved only in the second part along y direction. So this represents it is variable force. This is variable force. With respect to time, it is changing. So remember, whenever you are getting variable forces, what you need to do? you should definitely use integration and differentiation. So whatever it is, we will be either using integration or differentiation depending upon the equation, depending upon the question. Now there is an impulsive force given which is variable with respect to time, and A is given 2 Newton, B is given as 4 Newton per second. If this force acts from T initial which is equal to 0 to T final which is equal to 0.3 second, you are supposed to find out the impulsive force. Now we have equation for impulse. Delta J is equal to F of T into dt. Limits are from T initial to T final. This I have already told you. Whenever it is variable, you will be using this. So simply you can write delta J, or change in the impulse would be written as integration. Initial time is 0, final time is 0.3 second, and force is A I cap plus B T J cap into dt. This gives you delta J is equal to integration A I cap dt, limits are from 0 to 0.3, plus integration 0 to 0.3 B T J cap into dt. Just I have split the integration. Then delta J is equal to A I cap is constant, integration dt is t. A I cap into t, limits are from 0 to 0.3, plus B J cap t dt is t square by 2, integration limits are from 0 to 0.3. So about integration we have already learnt in kinematics 1D. So if you do not know about how to find out integration, you can watch that videos. Delta J is equal to A I cap into T is 0.3, upper limit is 0.3 minus lower limit 0, plus B J cap divided by 2, upper limit is 0.3 minus 0 whole square. Because it is T square, right? I am substituting that here. T, wherever it is, I am first substituting upper limit 0.3 minus lower limit 0. This gives you 0.3. A value is already known, it is 2. I cap plus B value is 4 divided by 2 into 0.3. It is 0.9, 0.3 whole square. It is 0.09, and J cap. This gives you 2 2's 4. Remained is 2 3 6, 0.6 I cap plus 2 into 0.09 into J cap. This is the impulsive force acting on the particle. And if you want, you can find out the magnitude. How do you get magnitude? Delta J magnitude is equal to under root x square plus y square form. This is under root 0.6 whole square plus 2 into 0.09 whole square. This gives you finally answer for momentum, and it is Newton second. Unit of impulse is Newton second. This is the way whenever variable force acts, you will be using integration or differentiation depending upon the question. Coming to the next problem, a ball falling with velocity initially, this is minus 0.65 I cap minus 0.35 J cap meter per second, is subjected to a net impulse. So velocity is being given, impulse is being given in the problem. If the ball has a mass of 0.275 kg, calculate its velocity immediately following the impulse. So it is similar to the example which we have seen, ball and the horizontal plane. In the previous example what we have done, same thing. There is a horizontal and there is a ball, it is falling down and suddenly it is bouncing back. Now there is an impulsive force, impulse is being given in the problem. Initial velocity before it hits is also being given. You are now supposed to find out final velocity. After impulse, the ball get returned back. So when it is returning back, at this point it will have some velocity, V final. This final velocity you should calculate. We have basic equation for impulse. Delta P is equal to mv minus mu, or delta p, which is equal to j. Change in the momentum is mathematically or numerically it is equal to change impulsive force. So I can simply write j is equal to mv minus mu. Now I want to find out final velocity. So in order to find out final velocity, just I'll substitute all the given values in this. J is 0.6 I cap plus 0.18 j cap, which is equal to m into final velocity minus initial velocity is minus 0.65 I cap minus 0.35 j cap. Right, only mass is also known, that is 0.275 kg. Only final velocity you do not know. So from here you can simply write 0.6 I cap plus 0.18 j cap divided by 0.275 kg is equal to V final. Minus of minus will become plus 0.65 I cap plus 0.35 j cap. Okay. Now you can just bring this I cap and j cap onto the other side. That gives you 1 divided by 0.275, 0.6 I cap minus 0.65 I cap plus 0.18 j cap minus 0.35 j cap is equal to V final. This I term and j term I am bringing on to the other side. So here it is 0.1 by 0.275. I am just writing it aside, and what is left over will be 0.6 I cap, and this finally you are bringing this to the other side, like 0.65 I cap and 0.35 j cap I am bringing on to the other side. That gives you final velocity Vf. So final velocity you will be getting in terms of I cap and j cap. You need to find out the magnitude of that. Final velocity will be under root x component whole square plus y component whole square. This gives you magnitude of final velocity. The calculation part is left to you. You can calculate that. Students, this is the other model where graph is being provided to you, and from here you should find out the final speed. A body of mass 2 kg has an initial speed 5 meter per second. So mass of the ball is given 2 kg and initial speed is given 5 meter per second. A force acts on it for some time in the direction of motion. The force time graph is shown in the figure. Find the final speed of the body. You are supposed to find out final speed of the body. So as we know, F is equal to delta P divided by delta T, or you can write J is equal to F into T, or you can write it as mv minus mu. So simply you can write impulsive force J is equal to force into time. On y-axis what is being given? Force. On x-axis what is being given? Time. Force into time. Force into time is nothing but area. Is it not? Area of Ft graph. Okay. Therefore, area of Ft graph gives impulse. Area of Ft graph gives you impulse. So impulse J can be written as delta P, or you can write it as m into final velocity minus initial velocity is equal to area of graph. Is it not? J can be written as m into delta P, delta V, final velocity minus initial velocity. That should be numerically equal to F into T. F into T is nothing but area of the graph. So I want to find out area of this graph. Okay. So area of the graph is, see, check it up. This is region 1. and this is region 2, and this is region 3, and this is region 4. Region 1, it is a triangle, and region 2, it is a rectangle, or it may be rectangle, because on the x-axis unit is 2. 4 minus 2 is 2. On y-axis it is 0 to 4. On y-axis it is 4, so this becomes a rectangle. Next, B, C, this region 3 is a triangle, and region 4 is also a rectangle. Therefore, mass, how much it is? 2 kg. Final velocity you should find. Initial velocity is given as 5 meter per second. That is equal to area of region 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4. You should calculate total area. This gives you area of the region. First region, it is triangle, half into base of this triangle is 2 minus 0, that is 2, into height is 4, plus second, it is a rectangle. Second region is rectangle, A, B, G, F. This is a rectangle. So rectangle area is length into breadth. So it is 4 minus 2 into 4 minus 0, plus third region, it is a triangle. This region, it is a triangle, and this triangle area is half into base is this part, 4.5 minus 4, 4.5 minus 4 into height is 4 minus 2.5, plus the last one is rectangle. Area of that rectangle is length into breadth, 6.5 minus 4 into height is 2.5 minus 0, right? You should calculate this total, and finally you will be getting final velocity. That final velocity, if you calculate numerically, you will be getting a value of 14.25 meter per second. So calculate this total, you should finally get 14.25 meter per second. That will be the final answer. So whenever you are getting graph, remember that you can either calculate slope or you can either calculate area, depending upon our requirement, depending on the problem given, question given, what is supposed to find out. Choosing from that question, we can either calculate slope or you can calculate area. In this case, as area of the graph gives you impulse, that's the reason why we are finding out area. So if at all momentum, if at all there is another graph given, like y-axis and x-axis, if different values are being given, different physical quantities are being given, sometimes you can even find out slope also. So of course, finding slope and area, we have learnt in kinematic graph section. If you are not known with that, then you can watch those videos. Kinematic graph videos gives you clear information regarding these graphical problems.